Hello, everybody, and welcome to the call. We finally got this thing figured out, I think. Gina and I, let me just make the quick introductions. This session is about finding your passions and putting them to good use with volunteering or helping people out. So my guest is Gina Scholl. Now, before we go any further, this is going to be a pre-recorded video because we're having so many technical difficulties tonight, but I still want you to do your watch parties. So everybody click on the share button while you're watching it and start a watch party anyway, because this is great stuff. Everyone across the country really needs to, not needs to, but I know there's plenty of people out there looking for ways to give right now. It's like sometimes you feel a little bit frustrated when you feel out of control, and then putting your focus on helping others, in my opinion, helps, just kind of helps you feel better. So anyway, so let me tell you a little bit about Gina. Gina is originally from California. She trained in Beverly Hills, California 17 years ago as a hairstylist and then an hair extensionist. She was, she then did a lot. She'll tell you about, maybe, I don't know, about the traveling that she did, and she visited other salons because she had such a special knack with the extensions. She moved to Texas in 2008. And then in 2017, she founded Beauty Blessings Ministry. And it's an umbrella organization for artists who want to use their beauty skills as a ministry to connect, support, and inspire each other. 2018, Beauty Blessings Ministry won the Davines Award, Davines International Award. I think I said that. She can correct me. And it's I Sustain Beauty campaign. 2020, she released her book, Hairspray and the Holy Spirit, and now Beauty Blessings Ministry is filing for their nonprofit status. So welcome, Gina.
Thank you so much. How are you? I'm so excited to be here tonight. This is such a fun treat. I've been out of my salon for 3 weeks, so it's just exciting to connect with you.
You too. So tell us a little bit, well, tell the audience a little bit about why you're passionate about what you do, what you're doing, and why you're passionate about being here today.
So Miss Cindy, who I met actually on a beauty blessing in down by Galveston, we actually met in 2017. So when she called me this week to talk about being a panelist for this topic, which is about serving using your passions and your purpose and your skills, I was super pumped because this is actually one of my favorite things to talk about. I'm an idea girl, so I love helping people find their purpose. I love helping people find ways to use their skills and their passions to help others, which is actually what we're going to be talking about tonight, because as many of you know, we're in a crisis right now, and there are so many ways that we can give back, so many ways that you can be used with purpose, and there's so many ways that once this is over, you can use this time to prepare and prep on where you can continue to serve in the community, because there's still going to be so many areas where you can help the community after we're now done with the being in sheltered in place, and you can actually start like moving forward with some of these skills that we talk about tonight, like the golden rules of serving. And I'm really excited because there's a quiz you can take at the end of this conversation too, that's going to help you find the knacks with your personality and your likes and dislikes and your passions, where we can help guide you into a place to serve once COVID-19 is finished and we are released into the open again.
Well, and even still, do you have some things that you're going to share with us about what we can be doing now as well?
Yes, I have a wonderful list of things that people can be active right now during this crisis that I think will really help you to feel empowered to make a difference even while you are from your home. Because I know, we've been stuck at home for a while, some people up to 6 to 8 weeks now. And I know everyone is just itching to do something to be able to give hope to people that are in a hopeless time right now. And that's what this talk is all about. So one of the things I'm super excited about is all the different ways that you can give back during COVID-19. One of the first things that we're going to be talking about tonight is ways that you can help with countrywide established organizations. So people are asking, what can I do right now? What can I do that's already has already hit the ground running? So one of the things that you can do immediately is go donate blood. So there are actually, it's a shortage right now. People have been canceling their already scheduled appointments to give blood. And the organization that you can call is redcrossblood.org. And they have actually talked about that they are taking all the precautions necessary to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and that it is still safe to donate because they have actually set up these donation sites off-site from the hospital. So what's happening is they do have issues with blood shortages, and that's going to keep continuing even after this because they've had to cancel all the blood drives that were supposed to be in this season.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I hadn't thought about that.
So donating blood is a big one. Now they do have some things that will, they talk about on the website where if you have traveled recently, they want you to wait at least 28 days before you donate. So another one where you can donate for the whole is Meals on Wheels. So you guys, there have been so many senior citizens affected by COVID-19, and Meals on Wheels is an incredible organization where about 80% of their volunteers are actually senior citizens. So what's happened is in different states, some states have shut down volunteers altogether and are only allowing you to drop off cards or gifts for the senior citizens, but some states are actually asking people to step up and still do meal deliveries and volunteer because they've had such a shortage. And the senior citizens, as you know, they are at such a great risk for COVID-19 that they're asking people to please, stay sheltered in. And so they need these meals more than ever right now. The third one that we are in desperate need of for Countrywide is donate to food banks. Okay, so as you guys know, unemployment has just shot through the roof. And so people that have never gone to food banks before are going to food banks. They said they're going to be having a shortage at least in the billions. Okay, so for the next 6 months, there are about 1.4 billion shortages the food banks are going to be suffering from. That's already on top of, they were given a massive donation by Amazon, which was wonderful, but they're still going to have a shortage of food. So they've actually called in the National Guard to help facilitate some of the food bank warehouses to make sure it goes smoothly. And they are also asking for volunteers and food donations. And the people that are volunteering, they are taking all the precautions for the spread of COVID-19. So how you can help is you can go volunteer at your local food bank. You can also drop off donations at your local food bank. This is going to be a need for at least the whole rest of 2020 and maybe, into the next year too. So that's something where you can help. Some locations are serving up to 800 cars a day. So you can imagine that is a big need right now in our nation. So one of the things, and don't forget to donate pet food, friends, because, sadly, when you're trying to feed your family, your pets, that's like, you have to feed the humans first, but pets are just as important, especially for the senior citizens that can't go out and get those big pet food bags. So if you are making a donation, make sure you send pet food too. So another thing that you can think of is, so we talked about what we can do in the whole country. Now we're going to talk about what we can do locally in your own community. So, which a little disclaimer, if you are donating items from the store or from your home, I want you to make sure that you are taking precautions to not spread the COVID-19 virus any further. So, we want to like shorten the curve. So what I'm going to ask you to do is that you wash your hands really well. You wear a mask, you wear gloves when you pack these items. When you do drop-offs, put them at the door. Don't go inside. Just call them and let them know that you made a donation and they can come out and get it. Those are things that, wiping down things with Clorox wipes, that's just something you can do to make sure you're donating safely. But things that you can do locally is create hygiene kits. So you can drop these off at your local churches. Now, a lot of the local churches have begun drive-through donation pickups and also donation deliveries with shelters that they have already been in contact with serving regularly. So these hygiene kits can help your next door neighbor. They can help someone that's experiencing homelessness. They can help a woman at a women and children's shelter. And you can pack things like soap, shampoo and conditioner. You can do body lotion. You can do anything that you would think that they would have to run out of and would prohibit them from having it that month because they also can't make it to the store. That's something you can do. Another one is create some craft kits, you guys. So as you can imagine, somewhere that would greatly need some extra school craft supplies would be your boys and girls clubs. It would be your things like the foster care group homes locally, and then also the women and children's shelters. And then also to your Ronald McDonald houses. These are all places that are going to have a large group of children and they could really use some extra supplies. You could do things like print out coloring pages. You could do crayons, you could do pencils, you could do a really nice one would be a deck of cards. You can do a lot of games with card decks. You can also do Play-Doh and bubbles, which are fairly inexpensive. And you can utilize also Michael's and Amazon. You can actually order online and have it shipped directly to that shelter location or group home. Or Amazon also has a lot of organizations has an Amazon wish list already established on their webpage. So you go to that organization's webpage, you click it, it'll link you immediately to their Amazon needs, and then you can just purchase some orders and it automatically ships it to their location, and you're making a difference from your home and you didn't even have to leave. Okay, so and that's fulfilling a huge need right now. Another one that you can do is help small businesses. And I know we've heard this a lot on the news, like buy gift cards and do things like ordering products. But you might think, but I don't need all of these gift cards right now. Think about maybe saving them for birthdays, saving them for Christmas, and just shopping early. You could also, a way to do a double blessing, which I think is really fun, is if you order those gift cards, maybe then deliver them to frontline workers. If you have a first responder, someone in the military, a nurse or doctor or family in the neighborhood with them, put it in a little envelope and put it in their mailbox or drop it on their porch and just say, thank you for making a difference right now and protecting all of us. That is something that we can do in just locally in our own community. A lot of the police and fire stations are accepting food from restaurants. So you can also call the police station, the non-emergency line, say, is there a restaurant I can donate a meal for your officers or dispatchers? A lot of them are accepting pizza deliveries, but they are not accepting homemade food, obviously, because of the spread of COVID-19. But you could also think of your local grocery store clerk. Maybe if you have someone in the neighborhood that is working at the grocery store, they're so busy right now that they probably don't have time to make food for their families or maybe even shop too, because there's things just flying off the shelves. So, I had gone out to the grocery store last week. It had been a while since I'd been there, but I saw some of the grocery store workers trying to grab some Easter items because they didn't have time to shop. And so that's another group you can think of, is to try to bless them too. You can also do Amazon snack boxes. So Amazon, which my mom started giving us these for holidays a few years ago. Amazon does snack boxes. You can pick from like healthy snacks, junk box snacks, which we all love those, candy box snacks, and you can actually ship that to someone. So you could ship it to, you know, your teacher to say thank you, because we all know that they're doing a lot trying to keep our kids and all the assignments, you know, corrected and up to date. You can also, you know, if you know of a nurse locally, you can send her protein bars from Amazon, which is great because, you know, they're on a go too. You can also think about sending frontliners from Amazon things like laundry detergent, things like dry hand lotion, moisturizer, because they're having to wash their hands so much. Their hands and skin are really dry. You can also think about body soap because they're having to take so many showers. Things like that that are just, you know, helping them right now in this moment. You can also do grocery store drop-off deliveries too. So now 3 ways to help your neighbors. These are persons that actually might be on your street, okay? Now, if you don't know the people on your street, you can also access some different apps like Nextdoor, which is actually made for each individual neighborhood, is actually have a COVID-19 section where people in your neighborhood, just not even on your street, but maybe the next street over, is going to have an opportunity to write down what maybe they're in need of right now. And you can help fulfill that need. Now, your HOA pages on Facebook, that's another great place to check if you don't know your neighbors personally. Now, if you do know your neighbors personally, you feel comfortable going on a little walk around your street, they actually have a flyer online where you can find, which is a little COVID shelter-in-place check-in sheet, and it has where you can write your name, your phone number, ask them if they're sheltered in, and just text you if they're maybe elderly and need something that you have that you could swap. Again, just leave it on their doorstep. So another thing you can do for people on your street is create a blessings box on your doorstep or on your driveway. This blessing box can be filled with things like books that you can wipe down, toiletries and non-perishables that you can maybe like have extra cans of food, again, wipe them down before you put them out there. And then you can also like stick little plastic bags where they can like grab things and bag it up on their walk. And then also maybe just put some fun chalk art on your driveway, because people are taking a lot of walks in the neighborhood, and seeing something really beautiful and personal will lift them up in that moment, because usually when people go on walks, it's because they're trying to de-stress, as we all are. So the last one that you can do for your neighbors is check in personally with a phone call. You know, if you know someone that's living alone or has recently been through a tragedy before COVID-19 happened, usually crises will bring depression and anxiety and intensify it. Or if there was someone that had recently lost someone, a crisis can intensify it and trigger that old grief. So you want to check in with anyone that you know that's living alone that may suffer from depression, and just, you know, do a friendly phone call and just say, hey, how are you doing? I just want to check in on you and see if there's anything you need. That's going to make a huge difference to someone who's struggling right now. You can also there's some wonderful apps on your phone that do personal greeting cards that are free. One of my favorite ones is called Punch Bowl, and you can make up to 10 free cards that you can text someone a day. And, you know, they're all over the board. So you can, like, I sent a bunch of Easter ones out, which was fun. That's something that you can actually just be present in someone's day, even from, you know, being in your own house, but still reach out so they know that you care. So the last one is 3 ways during COVID to help your friends, your family, and yourself. Because let's be real, this is stressful for all of us. So one of the things I want to encourage you and challenge you to do is to provide uplifting videos on social media, friends. Okay, make a video of yourself doing your favorite thing. Do your hobby, your skill, show off your coin collection, show off your wine collection and your knowledge of anything that you have a passion for, okay? Because people are so bored right now and they're just scrolling, looking to fill their time, you know, and you could simply distract them from what's going on outside, which is going to be helping someone. So, you know, my rule of thumb is if you love it, someone else out there loves it. I've taken ballet classes online right now from some awesome pages that are like showing their dancers. And I don't know ballet, but it's fun and it kills an hour. My son was doing magic tricks today from some teen that was teaching card tricks. I did I invited people on my farm and did farm feedings and did an uplifting message. And I had people from Italy watching me feed my goats. Okay. So it's like people are looking to fill their time, and it just gives everyone a chance to that maybe might be stuck in a house and they don't have a backyard, to just see green grass and a beautiful blue sky. And that's enough some days, Yeah. So the last one I'm going to talk about is also with your last two, with 3 ways to help your friends, family, and yourself, is call your friends and family. Okay. There are amazing web phone call conferencing apps. We're on Zoom right now. That's a great one. Zoom does a free session where you're actually, if you sign up, you can get 40 free minutes with at least 3 people. I want you to challenge you this week to call your friends and your family. I want you to do weekly poetry readings. I want to see grandmas calling kids to do story time with me, mom, papa. I want to see grandpas doing Bible studies with their grandsons. I would love to see a puppet show or maybe a workout with a friend. And that's going to be a great way to connect, because we're all social creatures and we need to see each other to find comfort that this is not going to be forever and that we're not going to lose our connections with our loved ones. That's huge. Not to mention, you guys, if you're watching and you don't have 6 kids to keep track of with, schoolwork and how much they're eating out of your pantry, then maybe call someone that does and offer to do something for a half hour so that parent can step away and just get a breather and distract the kids for them through doing something, like one of those ideas. That's going to make a big difference in someone that you're friends and families with. So you can do FaceTime, where you actually can have multiple people on the phone at once. You can also do a Voxer, Google Meet, and WhatsApp. And those are great ways to connect. And a lot of them are all free. So the last one, which is for yourself, is I want to challenge you to protect your mental, spiritual, and also your physical health during COVID. Because if you aren't taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to think and be able to help someone during this crisis, whether it's in your family or it's in your community. So taking care of yourself is equally as important right now. Make sure you're exercising at least 30 minutes a day. Make sure you're connecting with people daily. Make sure you're at least doing a spiritual reading or journaling for 15 minutes a day. Don't watch the news all day, you guys. That's just going to make you depressed. And nothing is changing day to day. We're kind of in a lull right now. And so it's okay if you just, skip a few hours and watch at night and in the morning. Do an activity that brings you joy, like something that you did before you had jobs and were busy all the time. I've been painting recently. I used to paint a ton in high school, and I'm painting again, which has been really fun. Also, this was a warning from a ER doctor. Limit your activities that can cause hospital visits, like too much alcohol is actually 30%. Alcohol-related accidents are about 30%. Don't drive so fast when you're leaving the grocery store. Move slowly, help the community by not stressing out the actual hospital staff. And then stay off ladders, because that's a big one too. Like we want to be able to help and support all of our medical workers out there. So these are all my tips for helping right now, which I think, of all of those, I know there's something on there that could help. What do you think, Cindy? Which one are you going to try this week?
The punch bowl.
Yes, that's a great one. I love that one. And it's fun because you can pick different themes too.
Yeah, so I don't have that, and I'm going to check it out. So there you go. That's one of my takeaways for this call.
So some of the online resources, if you have a pen, I'm going to ask you to write down, and we're also going to be listing this later, is for volunteering in general, which for now, but also later when you get out. These are some of the ones that are really great when you are seeking volunteer opportunities. So one of them is called Points of Life. This is the world's largest organization for volunteer service, okay? Now, another one is called Catch a Fire, which can match professionals with nonprofit-based companies with skills, interests, and time availability. So these are wonderful resources that can help filter out all of the different needs that are in the community, and where you can jump in and start, serving and being helpful. Another one of my favorite one is called the Dorrit Organization. This is on the East Coast. This is an organization where volunteers make friendly phone calls to their clients that are elderly. So if you maybe don't have anyone in the community to call and reach out to, this organization is wonderful because they will actually pair you with someone elderly that you can connect and just keep company once a week on the phone, which is a huge way to give back, and you don't have to leave your house. Another one that I love is the SCORE Business Mentorship. This is a countrywide program that actually pairs business owners who are going to need resources once this clears and we are able to restore our businesses back to profitable ventures. They will pair experienced business mentors with business owners. So for instance, you go on, it's kind of like online dating. It's super cool. You go on, you can either find someone locally that you can meet in person or find someone you can connect with over line. And you look and search which person has expertise in the areas that you need business help with. They connect you, and then they start mentoring you. Now, I found a woman in Michigan who's actually helping me start my nonprofit, helped me with how to build a board for the nonprofit. And it was so incredible because they also have, before the COVID-19 happened, they had actual where you can go to classes in person too. Some of them are free. But it's all free. So if you're a business owner and you're like, what do I do to get my business back on track? Go on SCORE website, find a mentor, and start working with them during this COVID crisis. And you can have a plan in place to then move forward once you're released back into society. And that's a great way to be proactive. And then if you are maybe a retired business owner and you have a lot of experience, go on and sign up to be a mentor and go help someone who may be in need right now. That's another great way to serve without leaving your home. So one of the things I thought we could talk about are now the golden rules. Okay, I'm going to talk about the golden rules for serving. So I'm also going to share with you guys my journey with how I became to find my purpose and my ministry using my skills of hair. Okay, so first I wanted to ask you guys this question. Who are you? Okay, so most of us have had a lot of passions and talents stripped away from us during COVID-19. And I wanted you to use this sheltered time to take a deep look at your life and see if you notice an area that has a void in it during this crisis, okay? So something in my own personal story, I had a void in my life when I moved from California to Texas, as Cindy mentioned. And I didn't know anyone when I got to Texas. It was for my husband's job. And I was all alone with my husband, and I started getting hit with depression because my whole support network was gone. It was stripped away. That was a time when I was at a low point in my life, and then I met God, and I started attending a church. And my husband, who was a first responder, had really bad hours. He worked nights and weekends, so he was gone a lot. And I started hanging out at church because it kept me connected, and I started making friends. So it was about 6 months into that I started experimenting with serving. I started slow, like open doors, pass out flyers, pass out drinks to Black Friday shoppers on Thanksgiving. I danced in a bunny suit for Easter service. And then my serving got kicked into high gear with student ministry, and I started doing preschool teaching on Sundays. But I started using my gifts and talents because I mentioned I loved painting in high school. So I started making decorations for Easter for the kids area. And I have an imagination with a youthful spirit. So I became a youth leader, and I did things like camps and youth nights. And, at the time I didn't understand why I loved it so much, but it filled me with a lot of joy, and I noticed my depression lifting. So, which is why I want to share this about you guys. So we all have an innate desire to make a difference and be needed. We all have a set of skills and gifts that we are born with. And when you align yourself with serving and giving back using those specific skills and passions, you will experience centering within yourself and within the universe. Okay, so then we left that church, we moved to a different area, and we didn't find a new church right away. When we did find a new church, I didn't want to get involved so quickly because I felt like I was cheating or something to my old church, which sounds ridiculous. But, I realized because I wasn't serving in church, I had a lot of free time, and I missed it so much because serving truly becomes addicting once you start. It really does. Okay. So one day I saw a post on Facebook for a children's hospital locally, and a parent posted about he got to get a haircut while he was there. And, I didn't know that was even a thing. So I called the local hospital, and I found out that they actually had a volunteer position for a glam squad that they had there. It was to paint nails, and it was to shave hair for children about to go into surgery. So this was actually built an on-site salon too. So I volunteered, and I walked room to room painting patients' nails. It was scary, I'll be honest, because of the rules and the sanitation. The hospital was huge, and each wing had like different rules of sanitation. I had to wear a mask and gloves and sometimes capes, and the rooms had these sheets that I had to read before I went in, and it was intimidating, okay? And I stalled a few times before going into certain rooms because I would go run to the nurses' stations to make sure I was doing the right thing with safety because I was so scared. So you guys, I saw things I didn't know even existed regarding illnesses. I saw things that honestly scared me. About the 10th room I knocked on, a teen girl's door who she had been in a car accident that she lost her whole family. I was supposed to somehow bring her hope with nail polish, okay? And I learned that the first golden rule to serving people is to just show up and listen. That's it. Like, every single one of us can't solve the world's problems, but we can plant seeds of love. When I started painting her nails, I tried to just listen the best I could. And it was like the minute I took her hand, like a floodgate opened and all of this stuff came pouring out, okay? And I think it surprised both of us. So I left the room in shock and pain and sad the world. And I had to go on my break and eat my lunch after. And I just sat outside crying because I thought, what am I even doing here? I'm so out of my element. But I just kept on working and just kept going room to room. And I finished the shift the best I could. And so the second golden rule in serving I learned is that not every serving position you try is meant for you. So I cried the entire weekend every time I served at the hospital because I saw my son in every room I walked into, and seeing all the sick children, it broke me. My husband, who is a first responder, said, Gina, perhaps you need to pick something that doesn't cause you to fall apart each time. And it was really good advice, okay? So some things you're going to try may just not be the right fit. And it's okay. Like, I decided to go to a smaller local branch of that hospital where my job was instead to keep kids company in the lobby while they waited for doctor appointments. And it brought me a lot of joy. It was across the street from my work. So the ease of serving on work days was there for me too. And I also didn't have to worry about getting around the giant hospital, which honestly was really overwhelming for me. So it was a good fit to still keep helping children in a hospital setting, but it was in a manner that I could still keep my mental health intact while serving than if I would have stopped altogether. So I want you to really, really be willing to find a good fit. It's all about trial and error with serving. I've had volunteers serve with me in beauty blessings in different capacities where we will be somewhere and something hits too close to home for them that day and they need to leave. And I always give them grace because I get it. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to experience that firsthand myself because I feel like it makes me a better leader. So another example is to pay attention to what season you are in. So if you are currently experiencing something challenging, serving in one area of your life, it may actually help heal you through that, or it may wreak havoc on your mental health. So I want you to always take a personal assessment after each volunteer opportunity. Be empowered to let the volunteer coordinator you're working with know if it wasn't a good fit, and maybe try a different area. Sometimes serving in certain areas will be a good fit for one season, but then it won't be for the next season. So, always do a heart check to make sure it's right for you, and, communicate that with your volunteer leaders, because, you guys, sometimes you are meant in volunteering. Someone is maybe actually meant to take your place, but they can't if you won't leave. So, think about that. Leaving a volunteer role isn't always a bad thing season to season. So the third golden rule is always give grace. This is grace for yourself and for anyone you encounter, okay? The next volunteer opportunity I took was at a pampering event for a women's shelter, where a client asked me to come to her church and cut hair for guests. So I had never done anything like that before, and I was really nervous, okay? I was jittery, and it's strange to say, but I was actually more nervous if the clients who I wasn't charging would like my work than the paying ones I have in my chair at my salon, okay? Looking back, it was truly because it was just the unknown. I didn't know what to expect, okay? I didn't know what to pack. I didn't know if I would have a proper work setup, and I didn't know what styles I would be doing. So of course, be prepared for the nerves. It's normal. They will be easier to push aside each time you step out into the community. So serving there, was really different for me, and the conversations were different. These women weren't talking about soccer practices and what to make for dinner. They were talking about missing their children who had been taken away from them and hoping to find a job so they could get out of homelessness, okay? And this challenged me to grow emotionally as a person, to be present for tragedy in life that I had not experienced myself. It also challenged me to be aware of my own blessings and grow my own empathy. And it's not my place to judge someone else's life choices, because not everyone gets the same beginning, you guys, or the same road. I once cut someone's hair who was a recovering drug addict, and she opened up to me mid-service that she was addicted to drugs because she had lost her child, and the grief was so overwhelming. She was trying to hide from it, and her grief just spiraled out of control, okay? You guys, her confession just broke me, because I don't think people have the opportunity to know the whole story of each individual, okay? We just see snippets and glimpses, and people judge others, not realizing that they're missing a lot of pieces of a person's journey. So when you're serving, I encourage you to just show up, listen, and give grace to the person you're there to help. Now, always remember that your job is to give kindness and grace, even if that kindness isn't returned. So don't take it personal if it's not, and just always use each opportunity to grow yourself, okay? So the next place I served was an agape meal for people living in homelessness. It was hosted at a church downtown called Broadway Baptist that my friend invited me to. And it was a multi-course fine dining meal for 200 people. And my job was to be a waiter. So I was actually a waitress in my early 20s. And so I was in my element. We ran food dishes to our section, cleared food, refreshed drinks, got coffee. And this is where I learned the fourth golden rule of serving. Serving unlocks the life lessons of the world and will be for your benefit, if not more than the people you are serving. So I learned that at the dinner they had table hosts, and the table hosts would hold table conversations. They would make sure the guests were enjoying themselves and had all they needed. And my section had a sweet elderly woman. She helped me learn my role as a server, and she told me that she had been doing the weekly agape meal for 10 years, ever since her husband passed away, and she didn't have anyone to eat with anymore. So, of course, I'm shocked and surprised by that, you know. Then they let all the guests in, and there was like people everywhere. There were so many guests hoping to sit at her table, and she knew everyone by name, okay? They only had so many seats per table for the host. So a few people even argued who got to sit with her that week. And she loved it. Like, she was so in her element. She remembered all the important events happening for her guests from last week. She even brought a birthday cake for one guest, you guys. And he like glowed that she remembered. Like, his face was like a light. She was part of a community, and it brought her joy to be needed. So, you know, that night at the Gapi meal, they discussed grief, and all the guests and volunteers after the live music, they came up and they wrote a name down on a rock that they wanted to remember who had passed away. And it was so touching, it made me cry. And I left that night understanding that, you know, serving in the community, it isn't about being a do-gooder. It's about exploring what brings you joy, and how sometimes you're actually filling a void somewhere in your heart that just happens to make the world go around at the same time. So, you know, then shortly after was actually when the seed for Beauty Blessings ministry was planted. I came across a shear sharpener, you guys, who came to my work and prayed over me in my break room at work. Our conversation actually inspired like my whole ministry, beauty. And he doesn't even know it because I never saw him again, okay? He simply was willing to have a conversation and share that his business was always going to be more than just sharpening shears, okay? And he was going to bring hope to people through that. So, you know, right before I saw him, I'd been experiencing fatigue in my career. 17 years, I've been feeling my gifts and skills in my business were not fulfilling God's purpose, that all women should feel beautiful and are perfectly made. And I was feeling that what I was doing at work wasn't enough. And I wanted women to know the truths that I had felt so passionate about in my own relationship with God. So, you know, at the time, I was still keeping my business career, my religion, and serving separate. And I felt like I had this like alter ego left. Okay. And I would always skip out of work early to go serve in the community. And I was just like, found myself loving it so much that I wanted to just do it more and more. So, you know, and I was feeling torn and possibly thinking of leaving hair altogether. So right after the shear sharpener came, I realized his words were the missing puzzle piece, okay, that I needed to understand that I was given gifts and talents for a reason, and that my passions that I had for hair were important and valuable to share. Okay, the shear sharpener said any business can be a ministry. And it was one of those statements that just stuck with me. Okay, so a day later, a client told me about a women's safe haven shelter. She asked me to donate products for a raffle, but you know, I thought, no, I got to do more. So then I called the manager of the shelter and I asked if his guests needed haircuts. Okay, just simple, like, does anyone need a haircut? So he totally paused and got quiet and said, this is so weird. I actually just had a woman come in yesterday and ask if we could help her children get haircuts, but I just didn't know who to call. So, you know, those moments in cartoons where like the person has a light bulb and it goes off and it's like, oh. Okay, so I had the light bulb moment go off when he said, I didn't know who to call. I thought to myself, why isn't there someone to call when the community needs beauty services? Okay. So I went on a Sunday. I took my son because, you know, I didn't have childcare help because my husband was working weekends and those, you know, bad shifts. And, you know, I was told by the manager that 3 kids had signed up for haircuts from like, you know, 12 to 2 or something. So I packed my son up a lunch, you know, brought him a video game, and we went. So it was there that I learned the 5th golden rule of serving. Always be flexible and expect the unexpected. Okay. When I arrived, I learned that it was not 3 haircuts, it was 15. Okay. The moms asked if they could get haircuts. The children were all watching and wanted haircuts as well after they watched me cut their friends. And you guys, they were the sweetest, most incredible women and kids. Okay. It touched my heart deeply because someone close to me I care deeply about had experienced a relationship with abuse. So I kept seeing their face in all of the women. And, you know, what I thought would be a short, simple serving experience became a hair party with a lot of laughing and a lot of working. Okay. I was challenged to do complicated cuts that I've never done, kid styles that I don't practice regularly because I do women only. And I had never done it, but it was okay because they were flexible and understood my limits, which so many people do when you're serving in the. And I was there all day, but my son didn't mind because, he was just playing with the kids and having fun too. So this golden rule has applied to every time I've served. It is either more work or less work than you will expect. It is always something that will have changed or something will be different when you walk in the door. It is important to stay flexible and expect changes when serving, okay, you guys, because it is also important to try not to plan serving opportunities on days you have time crunches too, because it's only going to stress you out and be less open for the unexpected divine appointments that can happen when you serve, okay? So I left the women's shelter that day and I drove home, like knowing that it was my purpose to share my gifts of beauty with people, and Beauty Blessings was born. So, I wanted to create a beauty network where there would be people in every city serving God with their gifts and skills, and that we would bring people hope with our faith, just fulfilling a basic need. And, we now have 5 states with volunteers in the US, and we're filing for our 501c3 this month, which is so exciting, you guys. And, it all started with simply discovering my purpose and taking the first step to explore what opportunities are just out there. It also just took a shear sharpener, like planting a seed of hope in me while he was working his normal 9 to 5. So, anyone can plant a seed of hope in the world, and you have no idea how that seed can grow and what can become of it. Okay. So, now, the first year Beauty Blessings was up and running, and I started serving everywhere. That year, I really focused on being spirit-led serving, where I just walked into opportunities that just kept opening up around me, like the Lone Survivor Retreat where I met Cindy. I actually heard about it after I felt nudged to talk to someone at the airport. I found out they had just gone back from attending an event there, and I learned that the retreat facility was actually in Texas, couple hours away from me. And so I started just calling around trying to find beauty people down there. And I found Dorothy, who is a panelist this week, who connected me to Cindy, and which is awesome. And she came down and did makeovers with me at the center, which was amazing. And, I also served like at dog shelters, giving shampoos. I helped with foster homes and giving kids haircuts at the group homes. We served with first responders. And, we started cutting hair at local homeless shelter. And that's where I learned the final serving golden rule. Okay. So trust in God, but lock your car. Okay. That's the final one. And if you are in a place of life where you have not met God or do not believe in God, you can also write down, trust your gut. Okay. So, I started volunteering at this homeless shelter because my church had posted that they were plugging into this facility by providing church services, streaming donations, and Bible studies there. So my husband and I talked about it, and after we had a security discussion about the safety protocols of the shelter, I started offering a day of haircuts once a month. So it is very important, you guys, before each serving opportunity to do your research for your safety. If you are serving with a group, organization, church, or even alone, discuss and ask a lot of questions. Discuss your plan with your family, check in with a local police officer or military friend or family member, elected official in the community to understand what you are walking into and should be aware of, okay? It is important to your loved ones and it's important to your life that you are educated before serving in any area in the community. So, many organizations will offer training, background checks, and maybe have, they have protocols before volunteer shifts. Take these seriously, you guys. These are for your safety, the guests you are serving, and also the safety of your volunteer team, okay? A lot of organizations recommend staying in groups of 3s. If you're in a room, they say having 3 people present, whether volunteers or guests. It enables, witnesses. I recommend doing a drive-by, of where you are serving before your shift or serving day, because you can strategize things like safe parking, location, and spot any safety concerns you see. I always recommend you guys don't ever walk to your car alone when you're serving, and take valuables out of your car before you park it somewhere. Never have anything in plain view, even your car charger. Okay. My husband has a saying where it's like, if it can be pawned for $10, it's valuable, and you do not want to walk out to see your window smashed in. Okay. This is valuable stuff. Some of you in life, okay, may find yourself in a position that you feel called to serve in a dangerous environment. And you're like, well, what then, Gina? So this is something to pray about and speak to different leaders and experts about, okay? And research different communities and countries so you can fulfill that calling, but be confident that you have covered all of the areas of concern so that you can like serve with peace, okay? So these are things that with all of the golden rules, if you keep and trust me, there's a lot more golden rules that happen when you start serving regularly, but these are the ones that that stuck out to me the most when I thought of how can I share with you where all of these things can have a broad range of support. So that is my six golden rules for all of those. Which I think I wanted just to add to. So Miss Cindy, when we met at the Lone Survivor Retreat Center, can I just say how amazing it was that I like sent out an SOS in the state of Texas down by Houston and Galveston for anyone that was a makeup artist who could come meet me at the facility to love on these women. And she showed up with all of this makeup stuff, and I came with hair stuff. And we bless these wonderful women who are married to military servicemen. And we had an amazing makeover day, and it just lifted everyone's spirits up. And like, how awesome. And now we're connected here sharing beauty and self-care tips.
How things work, it just, when you click, you click. And you know what, that's one of the benefits of serving and volunteering, because you're working with like-minded people, hopefully, and you can build those relationships that that may turn into friendships.
I know, and it's cool is that Dorothy, I got to connect with Dorothy too, who also has a nonprofit and helps people in the community. And which I think is so awesome is that she wasn't able to help that day, but we had an incredible conversation, and she still was able to support me by connecting me with you, which I think, that's why when you serve, I can't tell you how many people I have met that have been the most incredible, like paths crossed, like connected conversations and wonderful relationships that have developed simply from going out and serving in different places. Mm-hmm. So you will meet the most wonderful people by just stepping outside and giving back. So I've been serving now in the community for 8 years. I've come across some incredible people that my path has crossed with. So I wanted to kind of, now that we're talking about, I kind of mentioned how I had started serving actually with my career and been able to blend the two. There are so many ways that you can blend your passions and your careers with serving in the community. So I have a list of people that I want to inspire you with that are some dear friends of mine that inspire me daily. And I just wanted to give you guys some suggestions on thinking outside the box, because when you think about outside the box with serving, you can literally turn anything into a blessing for someone else. So some of the things I want you guys to think about, what these people have done, okay? So as I mentioned, I was taking ballet classes this week. Ballet Magnificat is a group of dancers that actually go around the world and dance the gospel for free in the communities. And they actually are doing live Zooms right now where they're dancing during the COVID just to bring people hope. And so they actually, I think it's so beautiful because they have taken their love for creative dance and storytelling, and they're offering it to communities for free. So now God's Garage is actually a mechanic facility that actually provides free services for wives of deployed for military, and then also single moms. So these people can bring their cars in and get free repairs, which is like so incredible because, as you guys know, car repairs are expensive. Another wonderful one is Susan Snaps, which is from Georgia. It's a mom and daughter baking duo, and they actually took their family's experience with cancer. The daughter and dad both had cancer at the same time and recovered, and they started baking ginger snaps for people in the hospital to help settle their stomach during chemo. And it turned into like a whole baking company. They have a book now. It's called The Cookie Cure, and they actually have brought so much people hope because they also donate cookie sales to cancer research. Okay. Another great one is Bless the Badge, which is a nonprofit. A police officer retired for 30 years who worked the streets, and a police chaplain, who are a married couple. They actually provide free community marriage counseling for first responder families, and also marriage conferences, which are all free. Because as you guys know, first responders have stressful lives. So, they've actually helped my marriage before with a marriage conference, which was awesome, all about communication. So another fun one is, obviously we mentioned the Lone Survivor Retreat Center. So when Cindy and I were there, you guys, there were a married couple that were husband and wife, and they loved to cook. And they spend over 30 weekends, a year, going to the retreat center, and they cook meals for the men and women that come to receive counseling for post-traumatic stress. And they just give by being present and, providing a warm meal for someone who's struggling. And at that retreat center, they also have someone that comes and does equestrian therapy and brings her horse from a different state to help find a calming environment to deal with stress. There was like yoga and art volunteers doing classes. So, I thought that was incredible because all these people were coming from different places and giving their time for someone else who has served our whole country for protection. So another one of my favorite that's local here that I met through serving with Beauty Blessings is called Choose Courage. So this nonprofit is actually a photographer who started doing high-end styled photo shoots for people who are survivors of domestic abuse. Now, these are shutting down the shame of silence and the stigma of, that people can't celebrate from being able to overcome this challenge. And so she has these beautiful glamorized shots for these people that are able to post and say, I am a survivor, and, bring someone hope that might be right in the middle of it. One of which I thought was like so cool, is a tattoo artist in California. Her and her shop, they get together and they write inspirational hope messages for people that might be in the middle of actually making a really tough decision and might be suicidal and in the middle of depression. And they actually post these notes all over the bridge in California that a lot of people have jumped off of. And they have actually had people call them with the note in hand and said, "You saved my life." So you guys, this is just, people that are thinking outside the box and saying, I can do something, like I can make a difference. And it doesn't even have to be something challenging, you guys. It just has to be, taking the first step. There are, I came across a guy at a local community center who was teaching kids how to play chess. And my son and I actually stopped and learned. And I was like, this is great because I didn't even know how to play chess. And we had so much fun. And he was so passionate about it. And he was had 5 tables set up at once and was going down playing with 5 different kids. And we were asking all these questions, and he loved it. And I was so grateful to be able to teach my son something and also benefit from it too. One of my last ones is I have a friend who she's a crafty person and she has a vinyl machine and she actually works with the schools in her area and she makes all of these upbeat, inspiring quotes that she designs for the bathroom doors and mirrors. So when the kids are in breaks and they're in the bathroom, you know, it'll say something pretty on the mirror like, you are valued. And, you know, she'll say things like, you are beautiful on the inside and out. Like things that, you know, as kids that may be being bullied or, you know, at school or at home, they can be in there, and just something as simple as like you took a second to cut out on your Cricut machine something beautiful for the bathroom. You know, a lot of schools don't have extra funds for that. So, you know, those are things that I just want you to think outside the box. There are so many ways you could look at this serving adventure. And I know that if you start to just, during this time of quiet, during COVID-19, where you're sheltered in home, use this time to brainstorm, you know? Like I know, Cindy, we talked about, we had a quiz we were gonna provide everyone in the comments section.
Uh-huh.
Yes, so we have a quiz that we came up with. It is a serving quiz that is actually going to help you fine-tune your passions, your skills, your personality, characteristics, also things about your life that could be purposeful for serving and could help someone else. And so we are going to be putting this in the comment that you can take when you have a second. And I really challenge you guys to take a second to take this, because these are all questions that are going to help you bring into focus ways that you can be useful in your community. It's also going to bring up questions that will actually help you say, okay, not this, but this, and help you, you know, those little fun games that are like take the road. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be like a little road so we can like get you to your end point and you can get going and get out there. So do you want to, are we going to do it in the comments or go over just a little bit too?
It is totally up to you, however you want to do it. I think putting it in the unit, I'm looking at the questions right now, is going to be, you know, the best way for us to do this since we weren't able to do it live. And, you know, I don't know if maybe we should go over them quickly in this recording, just in case there's any particular comment, side notes you want to mention. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we can do that. I believe there's about 10. So it shouldn't take too long. So one of the first questions, are you wanting to serve? The first one is, are you wanting to serve in a group or alone? Now this is important because if you are wanting to serve alone, this is maybe a chance to start a new group or a new organization or a community or somewhere that, you know, you find what you truly get to take control of, what fuels you up. If you're wanting to serve in a group, please know there are so many groups out there that you can join and be a part of something that already has, you know, relationships established with shelters and organizations and churches and things that you can get plugged into immediately, but also have support for training and guidelines and safety things too. Now, the second question is, are you wanting to serve with people under the age of 18? This could be you're wanting to serve children, or if you're wanting to serve with your family. Now, something to keep in mind, a lot of the shelters that are adults, anyone that has adults in there, do not allow any children. You have to be 18 or over. So you cannot go to a homeless shelter with your child. So they only allow adults. Now, there are women and children shelters that have women adults. Some of them have a few men. Some of them are just strictly women and children. Those ones you are allowed to bring your kids to. Each shelter has different guidelines, so it's important just to call before you just show up with your child. It's also important to, if you are serving children, know that they will ask you to do things like background checks. The process is going to be strict with there'll be things like interviews. There'll be things like, you're going to have to do training, and that's okay, because that's just making sure that they keep the kids safe, which we all would want our kids to have as much upfront, things that can keep the whole community safe with these kids that are being exposed to volunteers. So, don't be offended if you get a lot of questioning and it takes several months to before you can actually get, on the day of your first serve. It's okay. It's just, write it out, do all your work, watch all your videos, and just be very prompt and return things in a timely manner so that you can get going when you serve. So our next question is, are you wanting to serve weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or quarterly? So this is something to think about. You might want to think about if I've had situations where I was like, I'm going to serve every single, it's going to be like boom, 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 back to back. And then life hits and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't make that, or it's stressing me out. And I'm just like, what am I going to do? I don't want to go, and it's like, it happens, you guys. Like I mentioned, there's going to be seasons where you're going to have to pull back on how much you're giving back. And that's okay. That's normal. So I would recommend, if you want to serve regularly, to have a conversation with your volunteer leader and say, I want to try this regularly, but give yourself, say, for maybe 2 months, or especially if you're doing weekly, or 6 weeks, or say 3 months. If I'm going once a month, I'm going to do 3 months commitment now, and then have that heart check we talked about. Now, I made the mistake once of saying I committed to a whole year of something, and it really came to bit me because something happened within our family that I had to pull back of because I couldn't keep serving in that capacity. So these are things, just learn from my mistakes. Always have that heart check-in, and it's always better to, think about, try it a few times first. If you've never done that position before, make sure you like it before you commit to yeah, I'll do it every week, just so you know that you can get a taste for it before you actually sign the dotted line of what you're doing. So the next question is, what are your 3 skills? Ask yourself, what are 3 skills that I have that I use in daily life? Miss Cindy, what are your 3 skills you have in your daily life?
I'm a good sleeper. What do I do? You know what? I do so much, just so much. Yeah, that's a hard one. If you had prepared me for that question, I might have been able to answer you. If I need to do something, I just do it.
Yeah. I know you have a lot of skills, so it's probably hard to pinpoint 3 because you're a very talented woman.
Oh, thanks.
So
go ahead.
I want you guys, I know, I think when you said I sleep, I'm sure you've had such a long day with the summit. I'm sure you're excited to sleep tonight. So, I want you to think about, when you think about 3 skills. So something I'm going to talk about is can you cook? Are you amazing at driving a car? Are you like for me, I in my daily life, I cut hair in my daily life. I do a lot of driving. I commute an hour to work. So I have an amazing ability to get around the Metroplex where I live because I drive so much. So I have a good sense of direction. That's a skill. Are you a gardener? Are you an amazing cleaner? Do you have to do a lot of admin work for your job? So you're amazing at Excel. These are things that can actually be used for someone else. So that's what I want you to start thinking about. What skills do you have that you don't even realize are actually really useful for someone? Maybe you have experience in your job where something simple as you can whip up a graphic in 2 seconds and it's no problem. Well, for someone that's running a nonprofit, that could be a skill they don't have and is a huge headache for them to worry about. Maybe in your daily life you're on social media a lot and you can just maneuver through these lives and all this stuff no problem, and that's a skill that somebody else may not have and could really use for their organization. Another thing I want you to think about is like, what are 3 things you love to pursue as a hobby? So, you know, say you're obsessed with fixing cars. Like when my father-in-law like loves, he has a Mustang, he builds it, he unbuilds it, he builds it again, he takes it apart. So like he could totally use his skills of car understanding to teach. He could use his car understanding to give back with parts or fixing cars like the God's Garage. I wanted you to think about if your hobby is gardening, you know, there's community gardens that feed whole communities that someone just plants and finds a plot and does it, you know. There's things, if you have a passion for, like this man that I met at the gym that has a passion for chess, he was teaching it and giving it to the next generation. And that's a wonderful tool. Chess uses your, you know, it's going old school, getting off, you know, all of the video games and things. It could be a lost art here pretty soon. So think about how your hobbies could benefit the community, because you're already passionate about that. And you already, because of your passion, have more skills than the average person in that area. So you are already an expert and you can already make a difference in something you love, which in the end, you guys, it'll make it not feel like you're working or you know, taking time away from your life, because you already love doing it in your free time anyways. So another one is 3 personality strengths. Are you a great listener? Are you great at remembering details? Are you great at maybe, you know, are you funny? Do you love to make people laugh? Are you like easy go and, you know, things that aren't going to bother you with how I mentioned a lot of times with serving, it's like, it's not very structured sometimes when you go to these shelters. And so what are your personality strengths that could help someone? Are you a still, you know, quiet person? Well, there's places when you're dealing with people that have post-traumatic stress, it has to be a super calm, quiet environment because certain things trigger people. So, you know, what about your personality could make a difference and actually help in one area or another when you're serving? So next question is to list challenges you have overcome in the past 5 years and in your life. Now, I wanted you to think about this because there are things that you have gone through your life that you have overcome, and it might have been hard and it might have broken you and taken years to recover. And I've had those things in my life too. Okay. So I'm talking from experience as well. You have had things that you've overcome and you've made it to the other side. And there are people out there right now who are right in the middle of that same challenge. And your wisdom, even though you may feel like you barely crawled out of the situation, broken and bruised and bloodied, you survived, and you are now someone who can help somebody else who's right in the middle of it. So if you've lost a family member, if you've been through a divorce, if you've recovered from addictions, if you have had to put had to put an elderly parent in a retirement home, and you learned all these things, you know, just from the experiences. If you've had someone sick in the hospital, you can help someone by volunteering your knowledge, you know, going to the hospital and helping people fill out paperwork that have no idea what they're doing to how to get assistance for their parents. You know, you can go and volunteer at grief support groups to help people see that there's light at the end of the tunnel and there's hope in the darkness that they're in right now. Those are things I want you to think about. Like, what have you overcome that you can now be there for someone else? And what's going to happen is by you being there for someone else, it's not only going to help the healing process for your own heart, but it's going to use your dark situation that you had to overcome and bring light all around it. And it's really going to change the way you look at life. I promise you. So the next one I'm going to ask you to think about is, do you speak a second language or sign language? These are tools that are really needed in the community right now, you guys, for all sorts of things, okay? I have a friend who has sons that are deaf, And she actually works with an organization where they go to retreats where there are families with young children who have hearing impairment and loss. And they share their story of how they have survived their kids through elementary school, middle school, and now high school, and bring them hope that their families can still have, you know, dreams and hopes, and be able to still have normal lives with the disabilities. And so, you know, she talks about these retreats and how powerful it is to see these families and be able to share with them that, like, don't be afraid. Like, there's so many resources out there, and, you know, so much hope that, you know, we can all get through this together. And, like, you know, you're going to see some and learn as a family all of these incredible things. And it doesn't have to stop you from getting all of your, everything you've wanted in life, and be able to be the person you've always wanted to be, have your kids be, you know. And it's just showing up and being there in the moment with people. So another one that's on here is, do you already belong to a community or lifestyle group that you can serve or get to serve with? So if you have a mom's group, if you have a small group at church, if you have like a Harley Davidson group, gather them all up, because you already have people with you, and go serve somewhere together, and go and and it'll strengthen your own community group so much more. You know, you're already friends with these people, you already see them regularly. So encourage and plant that seed to be like, hey guys, we meet up once a month, maybe every other month, let's go all together, serve somewhere. You'd be so surprised at how a lot of these organizations just need bodies that are willing and like, yeah, you guys can get all sorts of stuff done. Okay, the last two is, do you desire to lead, or do you prefer to be given tasks? If you desire to lead, I encourage you to gather some friends and start something. You know, if you would have said to California Gina, hey, in 8 years, you're going to be a ministry leader of a group and be a nonprofit, I would have said, like, I don't know who you're talking about, but that's not me. But it's like, you guys, just get out there. You have no idea what's waiting for you. You have no idea how you're going to be used to bring goodness to this world. So I challenge you, if you want to be a leader, just take the first step, call some friends, call somewhere that you want to serve, and say, hey, we're going to show up. What can we do for you? And just lead, you know. If you want to be given tasks, connect with groups of organizations that have already been established, and you can feel comfort in knowing that there's already a plan in place and that you have a spot to come to when you sign up, you know. So think about, what type of person are you? There's always a need for people that want to be led and people that need to start and be leaders too. The last one, you guys, is, do you want to combine your business or your faith with serving? This is a great one, because, you know, if you're like, Gina, that sounds great and all, but I don't have time to go out and serve in the community. I'm like so busy with my job, okay? So here's what I want you, or with your faith, here's what I want you to think about. This is the final one, because this is a big one. If you've been in your career and you think that there's not a place for you to serve in your career, in your office, in your, you know, with your clients, even in your home, you guys, we have to rethink the way we look at life. And we have to think about every opportunity we have to be a servant and to serve someone. It doesn't even have to happen outside our front door, okay? Serve your family, serve your kids, serve your spouse, serve your parents, you know. If you're in your office, serve your coworkers. Start small and just say, today I'm gonna go give someone a compliment. I'm gonna offer to bring them the copies instead of wait for them to hopefully bring mine to me. You know, see about like buy someone lunch, bring them a Starbucks. You know, you can serve without even going out into the community, just by serving in what you're doing. Now, I'm a hairstylist, so I think about also like, serve your clients, you know, like, how can you help them right there in that appointment before they even leave? Okay. So that's the way I want you to start thinking about. We might be in a season where you don't have the opportunity to serve in the community or on your weekends. So think outside the box and somebody to serve who's right next to you. You know, my favorite Mother Teresa verse is, she says, don't overthink it and just serve the next person you see. Which that I try to do that one all the time. So that's it, you guys. I hope you learned so much. I hope I have stirred up some passion in you to get out there and make a difference. And, you know, if there's anything I can be praying for you with COVID-19, please reach out to me. You can find us on beautyblessings.org. If you would like to do your quiz at your own convenience, please feel free to go on beautyblessings.org, and on our contact page, there's a place to write an email that will be sent to me. Send me your answers and I will send you back 3 ways that you can serve based off of what I read, and we can connect. And I hope that I can share, do some idea exchanging with you that might give you a better understanding of your quiz answers if you have more questions after watching this video. Okay?
So I have a question for you in regards to your quiz and your questions and answers. Actually, I have a couple questions. One, these don't have to be long, drawn out answers. They could be just the first thing that pops in your head, quick, short, and, you know, 1 sentence or a couple words even, right? They don't have to be super in depth.
Yes, please don't feel like you have to write a biography, you know, like seriously. I say sometimes the first things that pop in your head are the most genuine. So
yeah,
that's the part about serving. Make it genuine. Like, don't try to say like, well, what sounds good on paper, because then you won't want to do it. You know, like, what really do you truly like to do in your off time? If you like to fish, and, you know, like, be real and be like, I like to sit on the bank with my friends and fish and, you know, have a beer. Like, that's great too. There's a guy in the Midwest that actually started serving with fishing and wilderness expeditions, and started teaching how to disciple with being out in the wilderness and fishing. So, you know, and then he started helping like teens learn how to fish. You guys, you can find a way to serve with anything.
Awesome. Now here's the other question I was thinking. What if, because I've had so many times that I've had to do a questionnaire type thing like this, and you get stuck when you're trying to be introspective, and you get stuck. And so I've heard people say, go ask 3 people for their opinion, but then it never gets done because I'm too busy begging other people for answers. So my thought when you were talking through these questions was, you know, I could go through it and write down my answers and then just ask best friend or husband or whoever knows you the best, and just ask in a lighthearted way. It doesn't have to be, you know, heavy and serious and too thought out. Just, hey, what do you think my best 3 personality traits are? You know, something simple. So do you think that's a good idea to have just one person help, or do you think you need more?
Yeah, no. Yeah, just have one, ask someone, you know, a lot of people are sitting around. So maybe ask someone and they might want to take the quiz too. So like, call your best friend and say, hey, let's do a quiz together. We're going to swap answers and do the questions for each other, which can be fun, you know, or do your mom or do your grandma even, because, you know, that's a great way to call someone elderly and check in with them, and also get the quiz done. So I want you to think about too, like when you are answering these, you are not, like how I mentioned with the golden rules, like when you start serving, I can promise you there are going to be serving opportunities that you're going to do. And you're going to be like, well, I didn't like this at all, or this made me sad, or this just was not what I thought it would be, you know, and like be comfortable. And I give you permission to experiment and actually, to feel comfortable with experimenting with different positions. So feel like that you can, you know, go and try one. And if it doesn't work, go try something else. And I'm very passionate about throw into the universe that you want to serve. And I can promise you, you will not have to wait long for something to happen to where it will fall in your lap. So take this quiz, but also just spend time journaling and just saying, you know, say, all right, I'm going to serve. I'm going to, like start praying about it and just be like, where do you want me? Like, where should I be in the world? And like, what should I do next? And I can promise you something's going to happen. Like when that lady showed up and said, you should do a raffle. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll call. And the guy was like, that's so weird. Someone just asked. Like, that's what literally truly happens. When you put out into the universe that you want to make a difference and help people, something will, keep your ears and eyes open, because something will happen where you'll say, well, that's weird. There's an opportunity that I can jump in. When I said I volunteered at the animal shelter, I had started following, when we adopted a kitten a couple years ago, following all the pages for the local animal rescue. Well, for whatever reason, every time I jumped on Facebook, I would see a new post from them, always first, about, we need help with animal grooming. We need animal grooming. We need animal grooming. I'm not a groomer, but my neighbor's a groomer. So I called her and I said, I keep seeing things about animal grooming. Do you want to go to the animal shelter with me and go wash some dogs, and I'll dry them, and I'll blow dry and watch you groom them. And we did, and it was a blast. And, we had so much fun. And so, was it like something that I did for the rest of my life? No, I went, it was a wonderful experience. And I learned a lot about animal shelters because I have a passion for animals. So, things like that, just if you keep seeing something pop up, or you keep hearing something, or someone keeps mentioning it, like, just go pursue it. Take the first step and just say, I'm going to explore that, because that's what is blaringly obvious to me in this moment. And then that's going to lead to something else, which will lead to something else. And so I'm a big believer, which is all about what my book is if you say yes to opportunities like this, you will eventually find yourself on your path that you are meant to be, and you will find your purpose. And so that's what's really important, is like, was grooming animals my purpose? No, but you will start to, each serving volunteer position you accept, you will learn a skill, and you will learn something about yourself and something about the world. That's an important, valuable lesson. And what's going to happen is, as these start to, line up with each other and building relationships with people within the community, you will then wake up one day and you are doing what you love, what fulfills you, and you can look back and see that it was like a road you walked down. And so don't overthink this quiz, and don't let it stop you from, if you fill out this quiz and I give you 3 things to do, but something pops up that's totally different, please go with that one because that could be meant for you. So, don't take it too seriously. Be light, be fun. This is something that could be, could change your life, but it may not be, I want you to realize that this can be something that can be in your life forever, and it's going to look different every year and every day. So just have fun with it and use it as a way to feel hopeful in COVID-19, that, this doesn't have to be the end of everything. We can work towards having a plan for hope, and that's kind of what this whole beauty summit is, which I was excited to be a part of it.
Well, thank you. Okay, so it's beautyblessings.org.
Yes.
Okay, and you go to the contact form, correct?
Contact form.
And then, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so there's a sign up form, which is for people that want to be in Beauty Blessings. That is for beauty professionals or non-licensed volunteers. That's not where you submit your quiz. Your quiz is going to be on the contact page, which is where you're contacting the ministry. So we will also, I just wanted to make sure, if you would like to be in Beauty Blessings, or if you have a beauty volunteer, a beauty professional in your life that would like to be part of Beauty Blessings, please feel free to send them to the website and they can fill out a sign-up form. But if you're wanting to send in your quiz, please go to the contact page, which is the last page on the website.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity, however many years ago that was, 3 years ago. That really did have an impact on me. And so thank you for that. But thank you for coming and sharing everything. And we'll get the questions on in the group, and we'll put a link back to your page. And I think you had a few links that you referenced that maybe we can put in there as well, you know, like some of these organizations, Point of Life, Catch a Fire, Score, things like that. We can put those in there. And yeah, we can all start processing and thinking about where do we fit in this big world of giving.
Yes, and we all have a place. So I hope you believe that, and I hope you can have hope that you can truly make a difference. You really can, and I just want you to know that. So thank you, Miss.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, and good night.
Good night.
We did it. We did it. Bye. Happy blessings.